Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer, the trap of overthinking, breaking the loop of inaction. I am so pumped you're here, because today we're tackling something that literally affects almost every single one of us. We're going to completely flip the script and deliver a total paradigm shift on how we view our own indecisiveness. You know that exact feeling, right? When you're turning a decision over and over and over in your mind, trying to gather just a little more data. It's like you're treating the choice of what to watch on Netflix with the exact same gravity as buying a house. You think you're being careful. You think you're being responsible. But today, we're going to look at the actual science and psychology behind what is really going on in your brain. So get ready, because this is going to change the way you approach every major choice in your life.
Okay, I need to slow down right off the bat here and tell you something that might sting just a little bit. Here is the hard-hitting truth from our source material today. You are hiding. You're not actually thinking. What feels like careful, meticulous responsibility is actually just you hiding from making a choice. And the absolute worst part about this whole thing? Your brain has cleverly disguised this hiding. It's made it feel exactly like high-level thinking. But stay with me, because once you see the mechanics of your own mind a bit differently, you might finally make that decision you've been sitting on for weeks.
So, are you stuck in a loop? Let me paint a picture for you, and let's see if this resonates. There's something heavy on your mind right now, a decision. Maybe it's a massive life event, a career switch, a relationship, moving to a new city. Or maybe it looks small on paper, like a difficult conversation you need to have, or a project you've been putting off. But here's what's happening inside your head. You wake up and think about it. You think about it in the shower. You replay it at night while you're just staring at the ceiling. You run every single scenario. You imagine the best case. You absolutely catastrophize the worst case. And yet, after all of that mental gymnastics, you are still exactly where you started, right? Well, that is not thinking. That is a loop.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's the thing nobody tells you about overthinking. It feels like preparation. On the left side, it feels like you're putting on a hard hat and building this masterful plan. It feels productive. But in reality, what it actually is, over on the right, is paralysis. You are frozen. Your brain has actively sold you a totally fictional story. It's telling you that if you just think a little longer, if you just gather a tiny bit more information, consider just one more alternative angle, then certainty is going to finally arrive. It's tricking you into waiting for a perfect moment of clarity that honestly simply does not exist.
So, the crucial point we really need to grasp is this. Certainty was never coming. There are only trade-offs. I really want you to let that sink in for a second. Most of the decisions you are agonizing over are not math problems. There is no hidden, perfect, correct answer somewhere out in the universe just waiting to be discovered by a slightly smarter version of you. There are only trade-offs, and absolutely no amount of thinking eliminates trade-offs. The uncertainty isn't some bug in the system or a problem you can solve with more thought. No, it's built directly into the situation itself. When you keep looping, you aren't getting any closer to the answer. You're actually just getting more attached to the fear of getting it wrong.
And while you're caught in that loop, there is an invisible toll being taken. Every single day you stay in that loop, you are paying hidden costs. First off, the window for easy action simply closes. Opportunities just pass you by. Second, the mental weight of this decision grows significantly heavier. But here is the most fascinating and frankly invisible cost. Because something is unresolved, your nervous system actually files it under danger unresolved. Think about that. Every day you don't decide, your brain flags it as a growing daily threat. So what started as a completely manageable choice becomes this enormous monster, not because it's actually enormous, but purely because of all the anxiety you have wrapped around it over time.
The reality of our choices basically comes down to this comparison. A mediocre decision made today absolutely beats a perfect decision that never gets made. Why? Well, because a real choice, even an imperfect, completely messy one, gives you actual feedback. It moves things forward. It teaches you something tangible that you can actually use to correct your course tomorrow. But a perfect choice that only exists in your imagination, it teaches you absolutely nothing, and it costs you precious time and energy in the meantime.
Let's move to our next concept and see how this builds our understanding. We have our threat detection system. If overthinking makes everything so much worse, why does our brain insist on doing it? Well, think about it. It actually makes perfect sense. This is evolutionary survival code running in the wrong modern environment. Your brain evolved in dangerous environments where hesitation before action literally kept your ancestors alive. Turning a situation over, checking every single angle for a predator, that was survival. Your nervous system still runs that exact same code today, treating a modern career pivot like a saber-toothed tiger in the bushes. It simply cannot tell the difference between mortal danger that needs more observation and modern career uncertainty that cannot be eliminated. So, let's reframe this. Your overthinking is not a personality flaw. It is not a weakness. You are just using an outdated survival tool for a modern problem it was never built to solve.
And this brings us to a massive aha moment in the psychological data. Enter Dr. Timothy Wilson, a psychologist at the University of Virginia. He spent years studying what he coined the adaptive unconscious. This is the part of your mind that processes incredibly complex information well below the surface, completely outside of your active conscious awareness. Your brain is essentially a supercomputer, right? It's constantly crunching data, past experiences, and your core values in the background without you even knowing it.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the data from one of Dr. Wilson's studies. It is absolutely striking. They took two groups and gave them a complex set of options to evaluate. The first group are conscious thinkers. Well, they were given plenty of time to be careful, deliberate, and analytical. But the second group, the distracted group, they were deliberately given tasks that prevented any conscious thought about the decision at all. The outcome? No way, right? The distracted decision makers actually achieved better outcomes and were significantly more satisfied with their choices. The people who literally couldn't overthink actually won.
So, why did that happen? Because your conscious mind has a very limited bandwidth. It can only hold so many variables at once. But your unconscious mind, it's processing all of it. When you overthink a complex decision, you are not adding wisdom. Past a certain point, you are actually overriding the deep, incredibly valuable work your unconscious mind has already completed. Your gut isn't just noise. It is the most processed signal you have. Trusting your gut isn't reckless. It's relying on your brain's ultimate supercomputer.
Okay, so we know the science, we know the trap. How do we actually break the loop? I'm going to give you 3 highly targeted questions. Question 1. What information would actually change my decision? I want you to really challenge yourself here. Not what information would make you feel more comfortable, but what specific data point would genuinely change your answer. If you cannot name it, then you already have everything you need. The comfort you are desperately looking for does not come before the decision. It only comes after.
Here is question 2, and this one requires you to be fiercely honest with yourself. What is the cost of not deciding? We spend an exhaustive amount of energy asking, oh, what if I make the wrong choice? But we almost never ask what staying perfectly still in this loop is costing us. It is costing you time. It is draining your energy. You are missing opportunities. You are mourning the unlived versions of your life that were entirely possible, but never became real simply because you wouldn't move. Remember, not deciding is a decision. Make sure you are weighing its incredibly heavy cost.
Finally, question 3. What would the person I'm becoming do here? Don't ask the current version of you, the one drowning in fear and noise. I want you to channel your future self, the version of yourself you are working so hard to become. The one who acts, the one who commits, the one who takes the loss if it comes and just keeps going anyway. What does that person do in this exact situation? Yeah, I bet you already know the answer.
Now for the ultimate call to action. It all comes down to one number. 1. Pick exactly one specific date and one specific time. That is your firm, unbreakable deadline to make this decision. Do not set a vague intention like, oh, I'll decide by next week. No, research shows that hard deadlines produce decisions of equal or better quality than unlimited deliberation. Because when your brain knows the loop has a hard stop, it stops spinning and starts synthesizing. Force the brain out of the loop. Write that single deadline down right now.
I want to slow down our cadence here as we wrap up, just to remind you of this fundamental truth. Bad decisions don't stop you. Indefinite delays do. The people who make progress in life aren't the people who never make bad decisions. They're simply the people who make decisions, both good and bad, and use the feedback from both to continuously move forward. Progress requires making the call. The loop is not protecting you, it is just keeping you standing perfectly still.
So I will leave you with this final provocative thought to take with you today. Cut through the noise. Stop waiting for a certainty that will literally never arrive. Ask yourself right now, what decision have you been avoiding? It's time to set your deadline, trust that highly processed signal in your gut, and finally make the call. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I seriously challenge you to go take action today.